Hey friend, ever wondered why you're so tired all the time? Why you need that afternoon caffeine hit every day just to stay in the game? Hint, you probably need more sleep. So I created something just for you. It's my 7-day sleep makeover. I'll teach you the 3 steps you need to move from exhausted to energized so you can live out your brilliant dreams. Head to brilliantbalance.net/sleep and start your sleep makeover today. You're going to love this. I'm Cherylanne Skolnicki, and this is Brilliant Balance, the show for working women who are ready to shine. Each week, I bring you ideas, inspiration, and insight on balance, business, and getting it all done gracefully. You ready? Let's be brilliant. Hello, my friend, and welcome back. Today, we are talking about what's for dinner. I'm so excited because this is one of my very favorite things to talk about in the whole world. I've said this before that you have to do an introduction somewhere and give your little bio. I almost always, for years and years, said, I love everything there is to love about food. I love learning about it. I love eating it. I love cooking it. I love shopping for it. Like the whole playground that is the food that we eat is just a delight to me. And so if that is not the case for you, maybe borrow my energy today about food and let's see if we can break down what is often a really dreaded process, a really complicated process, and turn it into something that is a whole lot simpler and maybe even fun. And here's why I'm doing this episode. I am trying within this podcast, and you can probably feel it, to strike a balance between, deeper topics, things that maybe help you explore a piece of mindset or of your psychology or the way you're thinking about things, with really practical strategies that you can apply in your life. And the reason that matters to me is because both of those things get in our way. When I look at the big picture problem I'm trying to help solve in the world, I just don't want working moms to feel like they're drowning in their own life. I think we have so much we can contribute. That whole promise of having it all, right, is one that was made to us from the time we were little girls. Like we were going to be the generation of women who had it all. And yet, nobody told us how to manage it. And so my purpose in life is to help really create an operating system for women so that you can run your life with ease, with grace, right, with capability, so you still have space to do the really good stuff, to dream, to chase those big dreams that you have, to spend time with the people that you love. Like we're never going to get to that stuff if we're drowning in the things we have to do. And one of the things we have to do regularly, whether we like it or not, is we have to put food on the table for our families. Some of you may have a partner who does that. Some of you may choose to do that through restaurants. Like there's lots of different ways to do it. But at the end of the day, everybody has to eat. And so I want to pepper in these very practical topics so you get a framework that you can go and apply in your life. And we do a ton of this inside of my coaching programs when I'm working with women inside the Brilliant Balance community. But I want to make sure we're putting some of this out through the podcast and our other video content so that you can really get some help in the places causing you the most pain. So when I talk to women out there in the world about what is causing them pain, what are the things that they just dread or that really are bringing them down, meal planning is darn near the top of the list. If I had $1 for every time this came up as a pain point, right, I might not be doing the podcast anymore. So this really is territory that I think we have to dig into. We have to figure out how to not make this so hard. And it's kind of a great time of year to do this. Like we're kicking off October, we're ready for fall weather, and all the things that brings. I think everyone's a little more amenable to cooking at this time of year because we're inside a little earlier, and we're kind of in that hearth and home chapter of the year. October, November, December, this whole fourth quarter is where we sort of retreat and reconnect with our families. And I love that season for that reason. So my big point today is that getting a meal on the table doesn't have to be hard, especially when you do it the way I'm going to teach. And I call this recipe-free cooking, okay? This model, recipe-free cooking, adapts to any level of cooking know-how, okay? You don't have to be an expert in the kitchen to make this work. And I hope that's very freeing. If you're stressed out as we get into this, that this is going to be really hard for you, I'm going to show you ways that it does not have to be hard. So the framework for my meal planning system, and I thought about this a lot because I candidly do this so naturally by this point that I don't even really think about it. So I had to go back and engineer what really is the simple thread that we're going to pull through the system so you can learn it. And it really comes down to answering 3 questions: when, what, and how. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, right? It's like we're in first grade writing sentences. So first thing you're going to do, step 1, is decide when you are going to cook. So what I mean by this is I'm going to take the point of view here that meal planning only applies to the meals that you are going to prepare in some way and put on a table in your home, right? Part of your meal planning system is going to say, we're going to eat out on this night, right? Or we're going to eat on the run, or we're going to have leftovers. Like, that's fine. But really, I think when women say, I'm struggling with meal planning, they're talking about proactively, what am I going to prepare in my home for my family? I don't think too many people are struggling with ordering pizza. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that. However, in step 1, when you're deciding when you're going to cook, you really are deciding how often. Okay, so in a 7-day week, because people have to eat 7 days, there may be a pizza in the mix. There might be a Chipotle run in there. There might be a nice date night dinner while the kids have a babysitter. Okay, so if you map out your 7-day week, and we are talking about dinner only in this episode, you are going to ultimately back into how many meals are you going to prepare. All right, makes sense? So we're deciding when. Let's say, for the purposes of this discussion, that you're going to prepare food 3 times, right? There's 3 nights that you realistically are going to cook, and then maybe 1 or 2 of these you can get 2 nights worth of food out of, so that's going to get you to 5, and then maybe you're going to eat out 2 times. I am making that up. You can use whatever numbers you want. I regularly cook more than that, but I don't want to make this too hard, okay? So decide when. Let's say for the purposes of today, we're going to say 3 nights that you're actually going to be preparing food. That is step 1. And I want you to really just pause for a second, because we never think about this at this level of detail. And I use the term, let's double click on that. Just double click on what we've just covered. At this point, how much simpler does it already feel? Be honest with yourself. If you're like, I only have to do this 3 times, like, doesn't it already feel a little bit lighter? Okay, so deciding when. Step 2. Step 2 of the process is decide what. So this is really where it breaks down for people. This is where people get stressed out, is I don't know what to make. So what I'm going to give you, and I've shared this before, is a formula that you can follow to structure the meal. So I'm going to say protein, which is probably for most of you going to be a meat, but it certainly can be a plant-based protein, plus a vegetable, because we want to be healthy, okay? Plus, half the time at least, some kind of grain or starch. Totally depends on your family's preferences. Some people are not going to put grains and starches in because they're eating low carb. Other people are going to have them every night because it's their family's favorite. Protein plus vegetable plus some kind of grain or starch if you choose, right? Some of the time. So now what you get, I refer to this as like menu mix and match, right? You literally at this point can condense meal planning down to about a 15 to 20 minute exercise. So if you make a list of proteins that your family likes, and I can't really do this for you because we all like different things. So some of the ones that regularly show up in my household would be like chicken breasts or shrimp or salmon or pork tenderloin or filet mignon. Like, doesn't matter what they are. You can have vegetarian sources of protein. Tofu makes an appearance fairly regularly in my house, and we are a split family on who loves it and who hates it. So it often makes a co-appearance with shrimp in our meal planning. You need to pick a protein. You need to have a list of proteins that your family will eat and that they like, and then you're going to choose one for each of the 3 nights that you're cooking. Vegetables, same thing. Big list of vegetables that your family will eat or that you like. List them all out, and you're going to choose at least one. You can choose more than one. I think vegetable combos like stir fries with more than one, or grilled vegetables where you grill multiple vegetables at the same time, are fabulous. We do them all the time, but you want to have at least one vegetable. And then the grains and the starches. So depending on what you eat, that could be pasta, it could be potatoes, it could be bread, it could be rice, quinoa, farro, bulgur, whatever you're into. Okay. But that whole collection of, grains and starches that I think for a lot of moms, this is what makes food filling. It makes a meal filling. And if you're trying to feed a lot of hungry kids, it's also often their favorite part of the meal. Okay. So I'm not taking a health-based point of view in this episode. We're just trying to help you get dinner on the table. So protein plus a vegetable plus some kind of grain or starch. And if you think about how you can combine one element at least from each of those 3 lists into a plate, you really don't have to use a recipe. Okay? You're going to just combine simply prepared ingredients to make meals. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can do things like rotating, ethnicities or flavor profiles as much as you need to get some variety for your family. So you can take those 3 things and make them Italian. You can take, like chicken parmesan with pasta, right? And a salad is a protein, a grain or starch, and a vegetable, and it's kind of Italian style. You can do Asian style. You can do Mexican style. You can get that variety of flavor profiling within your 3 simple components, okay? So deciding what is as simple, if you want to be at the most basic level, of choosing a protein, a vegetable, and either a grain or a starch, right? If you choose to. And if you want to complicate it more than that, or you want to get fancy, you can start rotating in some different flavor profiles. It makes it more interesting, right? But it's not necessary to follow the formula. Especially, and I think this is an important caveat, especially if you're only going to cook 3 nights during the week, because you have those other nights. Like you can order in Italian, or you can take everybody to a Mexican restaurant and build in some of those more intensely flavored things, okay? Hey friend, ever wondered why you're so tired all the time? Why you need that afternoon caffeine hit every day just to stay in the game? Hint, you probably need more sleep. So I created something just for you. It's my 7-day sleep makeover. I'll teach you the 3 steps you need to move from exhausted to energized so you can live out your brilliant dreams. Head to brilliantbalance.net/sleep and start your sleep makeover today. You're going to love this. So once you've figured out what your 3 components are, so we've done when, how often are you going to cook? What, right? What are the basic ingredients going into this meal? The 3rd step is to decide how. And this is the key to making it work for you. So the unspoken problem is a lot of us just don't know how to cook, right? It's not a skill we ever learned. I really think this generation of women who today are raising families is the first mass generation of women that didn't learn to cook. It was not a priority. A lot of our moms didn't know how to cook. And so if your mom didn't know how and you didn't take a cooking class, where are you going to learn, right? We are just, the availability of convenience foods and of restaurants has skyrocketed in our lifetime. So we've become really dependent on those. So what I want to teach you in this 3rd piece is how do you adapt, whether you are a novice cook, like I get terrified when I walk into a kitchen, right? That level of cook. Whether you're an average cook, like I can do some basic things, but not too advanced, or whether you're an advanced cook. You love it and it's kind of a hobby for you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to outline 3 different meals that might make their way into your menu plan. And I'm going to show you how flexible this is based on what level of cooking you are. And none of these are going to involve recipes. In no case are we going to pull out a cookbook or go online and get 92 ingredients that we don't already have that have to go into this thing. And we're going to use a teaspoon of one and throw the rest out. We're not going to do that. Okay. So the first one, let's say you decide you're going to do grilled chicken and mixed vegetables, right? You're going to have chicken and vegetables. That's the combination. We're not going to do a starch in this one. It's just going to be chicken and vegetables. And I have to tell you, this makes an appearance on our table once a week. For sure, in some combination, chicken and a combo of vegetables. In the summer, it's on the grill. In the winter, it's in the oven, right? Like on a roasting pan. But I bet this combination, if you had a video camera in my house, has made its way onto our table at least once a week. So if you are a novice, right, and cooking is not your jam, but you want to feed your family, you could buy a bag of frozen, pre-cooked grilled chicken breasts, where basically what you're going to need to do is thaw and heat those chicken breasts, okay? And you could buy a bag of frozen mixed vegetables that goes in the microwave. And that could be a meal. You can add a sauce or a seasoning to it if you have something laying around, right? But even the most inexperienced cook can get frozen pre-cooked chicken breasts and frozen mixed vegetables and put this meal on the table as one of their nights. Let's say you're a little more accomplished. You're an average cook and you have some skills. Maybe you buy a pre-seasoned chicken breast from the butcher section of the grocery store. And in the produce section, you buy one of those styrofoam trays with pre-cut grillable vegetables. And they've already decided for you that it's going to have peppers and onions and mushrooms and zucchini, right? And that's in the package. And you're buying your chicken breasts that are already seasoned, and you're buying a package of grillable vegetables. And all you need to do is get that on the grill. Okay, that would be like medium level. Advanced level is you're buying, honestly, chicken in whatever form you want, because you know how to get it down to a breast. I still buy chicken breasts that are already off the bone and trimmed. And maybe you're choosing the vegetables that look the best in the market, right? So, you might buy some asparagus and mushrooms and radishes and peppers, and you're going to add your own seasoning and your own marinade before you grill them. So it gets a little fancier, right? It has a little bit more depth to the flavor profiling. You may choose vegetables that are a little scarier in the produce section, right? They look you're not quite sure what to do with them unless you're a little more advanced. But all 3 of those meals are going to, at their core, consist of chicken and vegetables. So you can pick the way you need to do this to work for you. And listen, there is no health difference in a bag of frozen mixed vegetables than those fresh vegetables. They are picked fresh, flash frozen, and ready for you. So texturally, they'll be different. The flavor profile, yep, it's a little different. But in terms of the healthfulness of that meal, you're not compromising a lot to use some of those shortcuts that have been created for you, okay? So I'm going to do this 2 more times with 2 other meals. Bear with me here because I want you to really see how this can play out. Let's say your second night, you're going to do a shrimp stir fry, okay? So if you are a novice cook, this might look like a frozen bag that already has shrimp, probably, and vegetables in it, and it probably has a packet of sauce that you can squeeze in as it's cooking, okay? And you can buy pre-cooked like rice in a microwavable bag. It takes 90 seconds. You can buy brown rice in that bag if you want it to be extra healthy. Frozen stir fry, pre-cooked rice in a bag, and you can get stir fry on the table, okay? Even if you don't know how to cook, you can follow the directions on that bag. Next level, average cook, you might go buy a bag of frozen shrimp. By the way, really nobody's buying fresh shrimp unless you live by the ocean. So you don't kid yourself, even if they're in the seafood section of the grocery store, they were frozen. They just thawed them for you and laid them out there. So no shame in buying frozen shrimp. So you buy frozen shrimp in a bag, a package of stir-fry vegetables, maybe again in the produce section. They will pre-pack these for you, so it might have a different combination that's appropriate for stir-fry. If you don't know which vegetables stir-fry well, right? They're going to decide for you. A quick cook rice, in the boxes of rice section of the store, and maybe a bottle of like a stir-fry sauce. Something that's been made for you. It's in the Asian section of the store. You choose one that looks good and you can kind of doctor this up to get some extra flavor in there. So that is like assembling the meal out of ingredients. Now, if you're advanced, maybe this looks like you're buying shrimp. Again, everybody's starting with the same shrimp. You're choosing your own vegetables in the produce section that you want to stir fry this time, right? Maybe there's snow peas in there and carrots that you're going to slice and green onions and bok choy. And then you're making rice, and then you make maybe your own sauce. So I do a sauce that's like a little, I literally don't even measure this. It's a little soy sauce, some fresh ginger or the squeezy kind of ginger that you can buy in the produce section, some sesame oil, and a little cornstarch and water to thicken it. You mix those ingredients together and pour it over the stir fry. It's amazing. Okay, so that is not a recipe to me. I just kind of know those things go together, but you can buy a bottle of sauce if you don't know how to make your own. So shrimp stir fry, whether you're advanced, average, or novice, you can get that on the table. Okay. Third example, something like a steak salad, right? If you're a novice, you're going to buy a bag of salad where they've already chopped everything and combined ingredients in that salad. You're going to buy pre-cooked steak strips that you can just heat and put on top of the salad, or you can serve them cold, and you're going to buy a bottle of dressing. So it's salad, steak, dressing, right? Easy peasy. You don't have to cook anything. You're literally just assembling those ingredients. Average, you might buy spinach and maybe some fresh strawberries and maybe, I'm making this up, mandarin oranges and some blue cheese. And then you're going to buy a steak and grill it and slice it and put it on top of the salad. And you choose a bottle of dressing that looks good to you. Okay. So the only real cooking skill in that one is being able to grill the steak. Everything else you're just assembling. You've got a great meal. Advanced, kind of the same as average. Right? You're going to buy all those ingredients, grill your steak, but maybe you make a homemade dressing. Maybe you have a favorite vinaigrette, or maybe you have like a poppy seed dressing that you make from memory, and it can go on top of this. So my point in this section, and the reason I wanted to get into the detail with you today, is there is no shame in any level of cooking here. There's no rule that says you have to be an advanced cook to be able to put a meal on the table. And I think what's getting in the way for so many of us is this belief that we have to make complicated recipes on a Tuesday. There's not time for most of us to make a complicated dinner on a Tuesday. If you love to cook and it's a fun experience for you, you can do that on the weekend. I love to do complicated, fun recipes that I haven't tried before on the weekend. But I don't do them on a random Tuesday because we all have that same short window between work ending and bedtime. And if we eat up 2 hours of that trying to prepare a meal, it's no wonder we end up defaulting to takeout. Okay. So there are so many prepped for you items that can greatly simplify your meal preparation. They don't really affect your ability to meal plan. They just shorten up the cycle of your ability to cook. So when you are sitting down to meal plan, or when you're saying, gosh, I have to get better at meal planning, I want you to just think about the when, the what, and the how, okay? And if you think all the way through to the how and make it as simple as possible, your likelihood of actually cooking goes way up. Now, I don't want to skip over this very important last point, which is you still have to get the food in the house. All right. None of this works if you don't have the food that you need in the house. And so while we can talk about meal planning and actually having the list made, right? So you know what you're making and you even know how you're going to make it. If you don't have a process nailed down for getting that food in the house, this doesn't work. because you can't run to the grocery store every night. You don't have time to run to the grocery store every night and buy these few things. That's why figuring out what you're going to make for the week, right? A weekly system is ideal, because then you can shop one time. And whether you want to physically go to the store and do your shopping, or whether you want to use an online service like Instacart or ClickList or something to simplify this even further, that's up to you. You can decide how much time you have. But trying to figure out how to shop once for all the meals you're going to make is going to make it much easier for you to plan. And it's also why I don't want you to overshoot. I don't want you to tell yourself, oh, I'm going to cook 7 nights and I'm going to go buy all this food. And in reality, you had 3 nights that you weren't even home to do it. Okay? Start smaller. That's why we did this example episode as 3 meals, right? Start with 3. See if you can get 3 done with consistency. And if it's starting to feel like, oh, this is getting a little easier, I think I could do 4 or 5. Great, right? But start small and nail it. Give yourself the gift of staying in integrity to that plan and feeling like a winner, right? And then you can build on that as you go forward. Okay, I want to see you go implement what we have talked about today. And I know you have someone in your life who needs to hear this episode. Whoever you are talking about every week and they are complaining about how hard meal planning is for them, please share this with her. I really want to get people to lose the fear that they have about putting food on the table. So please share this with someone who you know needs to hear it. Just text her the link to the episode and ask her to listen. And if you have a second and you liked this episode to rate or review the show, that would be fantastic. Just scroll down, click the stars, drop in a short sentence or 2 so I know you're out there. I would particularly love to know what you think about this style of episode where it's very practical, where we're really giving you advice that you can go and implement. And again, we're going to vacillate between really practical and some of these bigger ideas. So next time on the show, we're going in that direction. And we're going to talk about purpose, because this is a big topic for our audience of women. And there's one thing that often derails women from pursuing their purpose. And I'm going to dig into that next week. So till next time, my friends, let's be brilliant.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.